Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Northshire Presents event. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rachel Person. I'm the event manager for Northshire Bookstore in Saratoga Springs, New York. Here, as I so often am these days, with my good friend and colleague, David Wood, event manager for Northshire Bookstore in Manchester, Vermont. We're very excited that you're all here with us for this evening's Rep Pick event. A couple of quick notes before we get started. First of all, you're probably noticing as you're coming in that this evening's event is being recorded. It will be up in our YouTube channel in a couple of days for future viewing. But fear not, if you are here and you have your camera on, we have the settings such that it is only recording those of us who are unmuted and speaking. So you will not be recorded for posterity and put up by us on our YouTube channel. In light of that, please use the chat box throughout the evening for any comments you want to have or any questions that you have. And just stay muted and you won't be recorded. And then last of all, a note of thanks and a special plea. The note of thanks is to thank you for your incredible loyalty and support through this last year and a half of COVID times. It's never a super easy business, independent bookselling, and it's been especially tough this last while. And all of us at Northshire are very aware that we owe our continued existence as a business to you. We couldn't have done this without you, and we are incredibly grateful for everything that you have done to keep us going. And then the plea is to please shop as early as you can this year. The supply chain is supply chaining in all sorts of messed up ways, and while we are full of amazing books and we can always help you find wonderful books, we won't run out of books. If there's a specific title you know you want, ordering it early helps us greatly because it gives us a much better shot of getting it to you in time for whatever holidays you celebrate. That's my plug. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And now David is going to introduce our guest this evening.
Thank you so much, Rachel. One of the things that booksellers look forward to most, and we haven't been able to do this for the last couple of years now almost, is the staff presentations from visiting publisher sales reps. And so we've started doing that virtually and taking it to you guys tonight. And it's become one of our most popular events that we're trying to do monthly as we're getting closer to the holidays. You can find all of tonight's links, all of tonight's books in a blog post that I've made, and I put it in the chat. There's a solid permanent link there, and you can see everything that everyone's going to recommend. And so I'm very excited to welcome some good friends of ours who are coming back. First up, it's Susie Albert. She is the sales rep from Penguin Young Readers. Susie, tell us about some of the books you've got.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. And like we like to say in our industry, and I'm sure Northshire says the same thing, there's a book for everyone. There's a book for everything, and there's a book for everyone. And I'm the Penguin Young Readers rep, so I'm going to go through some children's books for you tonight. Everything from, I'd say probably 2 years old to 20 years old. So let's go. I will share my screen. And here we go. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see the screen? Yes, okay, good, sorry. All right, I'm starting up with this sort of busy slide, but it's a great newish series that I really wanted to make sure people knew about because I think it's really unique and fun and really effective in getting reluctant readers potentially hooked on books. And since they measure just 6 by 9, they might just fit in some of those oversized stockings. And the price point can't be beat at $4.99. Anyway, these are published by Highlights, a la the magazine many of us know from the dentist's office. And they publish this whole line of what they call puzzle readers. And the hook here is that they use their best-selling trademark Hidden Pictures activity in the books, in addition to telling cute and easy to follow stories. At the back of each book is a bonus activity like a matching game, a building project, a recipe, or some other craft. You can see if you squint below to the bottom left corner of the slide, the marriage of the text with the hidden pictures incorporated in the spread, and then on the bottom right, the activity at the end of building your own birdhouse. So there are tons of options in this early reader space from all different kinds of publishers, but this is really I think ingenious and a little sneaky in the best ways. to hook kids by adding these extra features, especially for those who claim not to enjoy reading. And there are a bunch of titles. This is just a handful of them. And next up are a few quick slides of our most popular licensed character in the form of Bluey and her family. And Bluey, if you don't know, is an Australian blue healer who has become a superstar on Disney Plus TV, sorry. And if you remember the British import Peppa Pig way back from 2004, Bluey is the new kid on the block, this time from Australia. So we're publishing these adorable 8x8s, and here's an example of one of them that's, again, inexpensive at $4.99. Some holiday-themed books, and as you can see, Christmas at $9.99 in hardcover, and some pretty glitter on the cover, and an activity book as well. And these are just great fun. They feature Bluey, the main character, who's imaginative and energetic, and her baby sister Bingo and their parents. And they really cover modern day family life and constructive parenting that's modeled in every fun book, along with great family adventures. And these books have been so successful. I think this is our third season of publishing Bluey. We just have had a really hard time keeping them in stock, which is a really good problem to have. And next up is a hilarious, super simple chapter book series featuring the lovable and lazy Flubby the cat. Just the name, Flubby the cat, makes me laugh every time. But this apathetic cat will charm cat lovers and beginning readers alike with two great tales of his adventures, or non-adventures in his case, of this uninterested cat. And again, these are small enough at 5 by 7.5 to fit in some stockings. Over to picture books. First up is Change Sings. This is by Amanda Gorman, who I'm sure you've heard of, and Lauren Long. It's a loving call to action and kindness. You'd be hard pressed not to come away from this one feeling a sense of hope and optimism for the future via this serenade of art and poetry. And like I'd say when I pitch books from Jacqueline Woodson, she really is not capable of writing a bad book. So here's another one that you'll have to wait for till January 4th, but she's worth the wait. So The Year We Learned to Fly is the companion title to The Day You Begin, which is shown in the bottom right of the screen. The Day You Begin is about diversity and acceptance and has been an amazing back to school book. And this new one is about learning to face challenges with confidence. And like in all of Jackie's picture books, the marriage of text and art is magical and uplifting and begs to be read and enjoyed over and over again. And we'll be publishing both books in Spanish as well. Viking in Love is truly funny. Just look at that cover. Stig is the quintessential Viking in that, like all Vikings, right? He loves kittens, fresh air, and stew. But unlike the rest of his seafaring community, he does not care for the ocean. But when he spies the most fearless Viking he's ever seen, named Ingrid, out on the high seas, he confronts his fears and uses Viking ingenuity to connect with the love of his life. And the story is about conquering fears, but it's really mostly just silly and funny and will be perfect for Valentine's Day and or for Vikings Day, which doesn't currently exist, but it should. So we need to work on that. Moving into middle grade for kids probably age 8 to 10, I'd say in this one, is Clarisse the Brave. This is a swashbuckling tale of adventure featuring a very unlikely friendship between Charles Sebastian and Clarisse, who are brother and sister mice, and a cat named Special Lady. The author is a former librarian who set out to write a book demonstrating perseverance and hope as a comfort to kids, especially in these very uncertain times. I think she succeeded brilliantly, and Clarisse will join in the tradition of great animal adventures, along with Pax, A Wolf Called Wander, and The Tale of Despero, just to name a few. This would really be a great, fun read aloud as a family. Really charming. And I have to give you a graphic novel because graphic novels are huge these days. So Rob Harrell, you might recognize his name, is the creator behind the syndicated cartoon strip Adam at Home, and keen eyes might even recognize Bat Pig from some of his stories. But here in When Pigs Fly, Bat Pig, aka Gary Yorkshire, gets his own graphic novel that is chock full of pig puns and action. It's fast-paced, irreverent, and truly clever. This is the beginning of a series that will appeal to fans of Dogman, Investigators, and Captain Underpants, as kids are going to go hog wild for this new pig in town. Finally, my last two recommendations are for the young adults, also known as teens, but we have also found out in our research that people buying YA often are sort of new adults who are ages 25 to 35. So consider your audience extended with these books. This book is an amazing trip to Italy without the airfare, but with an incredibly funny, heartbreaking, authentic young 18-year-old Muslim American protagonist coming out as gay publicly for the first time. And just look no further than how it all blew up. It's told in alternated voices by Amir, his mom, and his dad, and his sister. And the story is relatable, cringeworthy, and laugh out loud funny at the same time. Other YA authors I'm sure you've heard of, like Angie Thomas, Adam Silvera, and Becky Albertalli, all love Arvin's book, and we hope you will too. And this one's in paperback and went on sale just in September. And lastly, debut author Ayanna Gray's Beasts of Prey is for the fantasy readers in your life. In this wildly original story, Gray pairs the lush imaginative wonder of African mythology with an action-packed tale of two teens on the opposite ends of fate, figuring out what's truly worth fighting for. It's got magic, mythos, and monsters, and it's swoony, twisty, and suspenseful. This is the first in a trilogy, and Netflix has already announced that the book is being developed into a full-length film. We don't have any dates yet, but that's the plan. So that's it for me. Go forward, go shopping, and happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susie. That was fantastic. I've got books for my lists already to add to my holiday shopping. Susie's got to go for us. She's got another Zoom event, another virtual event coming up. Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure. Next up, we've got John Muse, our rep from Simon & Schuster. John, what's on your list? Oh, John, you're still muted.
God, don't we hate that? It's like, oh, you're muted. It's like, oh man, no, not again, please. Happens way too often. Sorry, folks. I'm going to try to share my screen like Susie did. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully, I've got it correct. And there you go. So I'm going to use a simple kind of, this is by the way, folks, a digital catalog that the publishers and the booksellers use to make their presentations to buyers. And so we the online catalog that we use throughout the course of the season. But before I start, I want to sort of reiterate what Rachel said at the outset of this meeting. She thanked you guys for being the great book readers that you are. I want to tell you that as a rep, and David and Rachel know this, we attend an awful lot of meetings where authors are sort of get out there on the road, and they're sort of sponsored by publishers, and authors get out on the road, and we invite 20 or 30 booksellers to come to an event, and the authors will present their books and speak to the booksellers and sort of talk about, why it's important, why they like it. But the authors will always, and I mean they will always, tell the booksellers first and foremost how important the work that they do is, how fabulous it is that they are so committed to the printed word, to the books that are published. And I wanted to reiterate again, Rachel, that it all comes down to you folks here in the phone today, and to all your friends and neighbors who go to bookstores throughout the year, and of course, especially in the fourth quarter and Christmas time. It is invaluable. It's almost downright courageous. I think it's remarkable how you guys all sort of commit yourself to the printed word, and we really can't thank you enough. So that said, Simon & Schuster is a publisher of like everything under the sun. We have client publishers, we have our own books, our own publishing companies, we have children's books as well as adults. So I've collected about 20 titles here that are available now And I'm going to talk about 3 that are coming out in the January, February, and March sort of time frame. So I'll talk about children's books first, and then I'll go into the adult list after that. So starting with Thankful. I really like Thankful because it's almost in a diorama kind of format where the author, you can see right here, is kind of used almost like cutouts. And so she really did do this in a manual way. She didn't just, paint things or draw things on the screen. She actually created these scenarios in a diorama kind of format. So I think it's a great sort of format and very, very unique in the children's book world. And I think as well that it's sort of a situation where you have a different kind of book here. This child in the book is thankful throughout the year for what she has and not just for Christmas time. And that's why I think it's good in general as well as good for the holidays. After that, Room for Everyone. This is one of those books where I can't believe how exuberant this is. The sensory experience is pretty phenomenal. When you read the book and the individual pages, you'll see the sights and the sounds and the smells. You sort of get it all the way through. This is a Dala, a transportation vehicle in Zambia. I think it's Zambia. And it's like they pick up people along the way, and it becomes, more and more people and more raucous and more fun and more just a celebratory almost. And I think it's just a phenomenal sort of, presentation of a culture and a people and the fun they sort of have. Just a great picture book, I think, for gift giving. On to middle grade, there's a brand new book by Sharon Draper, she of Out of My Mind, and she's now presented to us Out of My Heart. The character Melody, who has cerebral palsy, is back, and she loves horses. She's a young girl, she loves horses. She wants to go to a camp, and she's trying to find out and figure out whether or not a camp is out there that exists that she can be for a person who is differently abled. Long awaited, the first book in the series, the first book by Sharon Draper is much loved and has been used by schools, for years. This is the new addition to the series. Something brand new from Jason Reynolds, who is a YA superstar. He does a lot of important and fabulous fiction for the YA market. He's doing a younger age level here, 7 to 12, and he wrote a graphic novel, but he's not an artist. So he asked a couple of people about getting an artist to do the illustrations for his book, and he found Raoul III, a good friend of his from the Boston area. Stunt Boy is a boy who takes it upon himself to be the protector of those special superheroes that are out there, people like his parents, people like his friends. And it's his job, as far as he's concerned, to protect them from all. It's a great addition to the graphic novel world. All right, the adult side. I think most of you guys know already, what this book is. You've certainly seen this book in the shelves for over 5 or 6 weeks now. It is phenomenal. If you've not read Anthony Doerr in general in the past, and I can't imagine somebody who has skipped All the Light We Cannot See, Cloud Cuckoo Land is just a tremendous and epic work of fiction. And there are various timelines here. It's an ode to librarians. Children are very important to Anthony Doerr. They are primary in this book right here. And there's a young man in this book named Omir who has 2 oxen whom I guarantee you will fall in love with. Also on the shelves right now is Hillary Clinton and Louise Penny. They are longtime friends, apparently, and they were chatting one day about Louise apparently asked Hillary, I can call them by their first names because why not? Asked Hillary what her greatest fear was, her greatest scenario was, and Hillary sort of talked about, oh my gosh, well, if this happened and that happens, then there'd be like real estate of terror. So they decided to collaborate and write a book about it. You guys have seen this book in the shelves at Northshire. It's out there now. It's already a bestseller, but again, top-notch thriller fiction for the fans out there who have not already read it. On the other side of the coin, literary fiction of the highest order. This is just an immersive and fabulous novel, The Magician by Colm Toybean. This is just a phenomenal Irish writer. You can see right here, these are all literary awards, starred reviews from various publications. There's a novel about Thomas Mann, Thomas Mann, the German. I think he's a man of Christianity, I believe. He did I believe a scholar of some kind. I apologize for not knowing exactly, but I know him from his writings. But But it's a novel that that he's been working on, Toybin, for over 10 years. He did a beautiful novel 5 or 6 years ago about Henry James, the writer, called The Master, which is a fabulous backlist title for us. And so this is a brand new one from Toybin. A little different thing here. This is a paperback original, which I think is kind of perfect for book clubs. I love this because I read the author's first book called The Scribe of Sienna. The author herself is like a neuroscientist and teaches at Columbia, so she really knows the science behind these things. And so in the first book, the character goes back to the time of the Black Death in Europe. And similarly, this character here, she's out with her daughter. She's vacationing in Greece, and she meets an old man, and a man who's been around for hundreds of years, apparently, and she gets to go back in time to 1237 Greece. And it's just, she does a great job with the story, but the facts, how she presents things. I think it's a really good book, as I said, for book clubs, and it's a good paperback original. On the nonfiction side, Liberty is Sweet. Many of you are or know fans of history. I think Northshire especially is known for its sales on history books. You guys like the era and the time period. So a new approach to the Revolutionary War. The author here looks at different kinds of constituencies that were important during the era. So he looks at Native Americans, indigenous cultures, religious dissenters, African Americans, the other people who were involved in the Revolutionary War era who had significant impact on the outcomes. It's a big fat book. The author has won a Bancroft Prize in the past. He's been a finalist for the National Book Award, top-notch historian. Oh man, if you are not in love with Stanley Tucci, I don't know what's going on, because he's probably the best guy in the world. I think we've all seen, many of you I'm sure have seen the TV show, the series is out there where he's, traveling around Italy. What's not to like about that? This is not a cookbook. He's done cookbooks. There are two of them that are out there, but it's a memoir. It's a life and food, as you see there. And it's just one of those delightful sort of looking at his own life as an Italian in the food culture. He also talks with great depth and honesty about the passing of his first wife, how he himself had to fight through with cancer a couple of years back. A very rich and rewarding kind of biography by Stanley Tucci. And by the way, if you have not seen the movie The Big Night, find it, watch it. It's a delightful movie. Also with cooking, Ready, Set, Cook. This author is, she's very well known. She's done a lot of work in the food industry. She's done a number of things over the years, and she's basically a mom with 2 kids. And this is a perfect book for those kind of families who need to get things, onto the table like immediately. Basically, Ready, Set, Cook. Let's do this now. I have a couple of quotes here from some people from the book. Let's see, Anthony from Queer Eye said, "This is the ultimate guide to literally everything you want to and should be making." And somebody else said, "This is like having your best, most knowledgeable friend on a 24/7 personal hotline," which I think is kind of a perfect quote. The editor who brings us this book right here previously bought us a very good bestseller called Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, which is a great backlist title too. So this is more the same kind of thing from her. Vegan at times I like because, well, first of all, it's Jessica Seinfeld. So she's the wife of Jerry Seinfeld. A lot of media is lining up for this. It's coming out next week. What I like about this particularly is the subtitle, vegan sometimes, at times, and, for every day or every so often. I think many of us, including myself, sort of aspire to being vegetarian, a healthy life, a healthy diet. And she's giving you recipes here that are able to be made in a very sort of easy manner, and an approachable manner on the vegan side. So book coming out next week, and big printing there too. Susan Orlean, I'm sure you guys, many of you probably bought her previous book, the library book. It was a big bestseller for all of us. This is a collection of essays. It's not a brand new, straight narrative, but these are all previously unpublished pieces about animals and their relationship to humans and to the culture. We've gotten a great review so far. It's been out for about a month. An easy book is a gift for somebody this fall. On to a couple of sports books. The Baseball 100. It's been out there again for a few weeks. Joe Posnanski, he does all the analysis. He does all the numbers, and he does his own opinion on who the top 100 players of all time are. He does about 5 to 7 pages per baseball player. And what he does here is just a nice little portrait, a nice little sort of mini biography of each of the players, which sometimes can be really poignant in cases. People like Jackie Robinson, of course, are in here, and the trials and tribulations that he went through. So it's not just a straightforward, numbers book by any means. It's a great gift book for somebody who's in the baseball world. And then on the basketball side, we have Larry Bird's Celtics, Dan Shaughnessy from the Boston Globe. It just published today, as a matter of fact. And for those fans who've been around for a long time, such as myself, a certain generation, Larry Bird's Boston Celtics were really, the highlight for the Celtics history in the last, 40 years. And so great book here from Dan Shaughnessy for the basketball side of things. The Power of Geography. This is Tim Marshall. He did a beautiful book before called Prisoners of Geography, which is kind of in the same ballpark. But you can see here the book is going to include some maps, but he's looking at 10 geopolitically important areas of the world and how it is that the geography of the area sort of dictates why certain things take place historically and have been taking place recently, and more importantly, the why. So he's got a very accessible writing style and approach to basically the politics of today, but based on the geography that's been in existence since time began. Smile, it's been out again for over a month, and it's just a remarkably beautiful memoir by a woman who she suffers from Bell's palsy, suffers from Bell's palsy. It's an affliction that will often go away, doctors say, after a short period of time, but hers never really did. And so it's reflections, as you can see here, on a woman who has a kid, she has a family, she has a husband, and trying to be able to not be able to, she can't smile, she can't really have that kind of effect, that kind of glow. And so how do people, regard her or look at her or see her in the world? Again, some remarkable and beautiful quotes here from various people already. It's also an indie next pick too. So a beautiful memoir to gift anyone. Oh, one of my favorite books in the list here. Oh my gosh, I just love this Big Panda. This is a thing where this is one of our client publishers, and they get a little bit of a short shrift in terms of sales conference time. But when I saw this book, I decided to follow this gentleman on Instagram. I can't tell you how moving, but also simple these little pieces are that he does every single day. I look at a thing like this right here, where it says, "Which is more important?" asked Big Panda, "the journey or the destination?" And Tiny Dragon replies, "The company." I just think this is just a beautiful book to give to anyone who is a close friend of yours or a dear friend. It's a beautiful package. It's unjacketed. It's got a nice sort of cloth cover with the spine to it, and I like this a lot. So be sure to stop by the store and take a look at it. I think you'll like it a lot. These are two paperbacks that were hardcovers previously, just out now in paperback. Jerry Seinfeld's book from last year, Is This Anything? And then more importantly, it's kind of a great book we did 2 years ago. Mo Rocca, who you know from CBS, the Sunday morning show. He did Mobituaries 2 years ago, and it's all the collection of various pieces that he's presented, I should say, that he wrote up, but never got a chance to present on the show. So these are all kind of like things that you don't know about, have not seen so far in that Sunday morning show. So that's it for the current crop of things that are in the store now. You can buy for your friends. These next three are coming out soon at the start of the year. Vladimir. I wanted to mention this one because the author is a debut author who teaches at Skidmore in the Saratoga Springs. So Rachel might even know her for all I know. There you are, yeah. But it's a novel that a lot of the reps read beforehand, myself included, before our sales conference, read it and liked it a lot. It's a novel about the Me Too movement, I would think. I guess you can call it that. It's a liberal arts college, a husband who's been a teacher, but also a philanderer with students, the wife who has been sort of has to deal with this on her end, but still loves her husband, but also falls in love herself with the visiting teacher. So it's like, what's going on here? So it's a novel of obsession, but also a beautifully written one. And it does come down to the last quarter of the book to kind of a bit of a thriller too. So it's like, watch out. It's a nice little combination of things. Secondly, coming out next year in April, Easy Beauty. Not unlike book Smile I mentioned a moment ago, but Easy Beauty. This is a book that we heard about at sales conference. I got a chance to sort of correspond with the author individually. she's amazing. She's in Boston. She teaches at Emerson. She was born with this is right here too, a visible congenital disability. It's called sacral agenesis, where she's born missing part of her spine. So she cannot walk correctly. She sort of has a hard time, moving physically throughout the world. So she's exploring here what it is to be a person in her situation, and how people regard her. How does society regard her in terms of her appearance in general? So she explores, pardon me there, she explores the idea of beauty and how it is perceived in the world and how society sort of looks at it and how they treat people who are not, quote unquote, beautiful. It's remarkably well written. It's an outstanding memoir. And then lastly, again, I read this book before our sales conference, No Land to Light On. I was so enamored with this book that I had to go off and I drove to Boston. I'm in Springfield. I drove to Boston to meet the author and have a cup of coffee with her. So I just thought it was such a beautifully done novel. It is a story about a Syrian couple who are caught up in the Trump era visa travel bans. And so in the novel, this couple, the Syrian couple, they're living in the United States, living in Boston. The husband goes back to renew his visa. And while he's there, the ban goes into place. And so the husband and wife are rendered, separated. So, where do you live? What do you do then? How do you fight to get back together? So it's a novel of love and bonds and family and what one needs to consider to be home. I'm going to finish up with No Land to Light On with a quote that a fellow bookseller in Pennsylvania gave to us, having read the early manuscript, the early ARC, advanced reading copy. She wrote, "It's nearly impossible to find words that convey just how beautifully written and heartbreaking this novel is. I held it close to my chest throughout the week as I read it slowly, taking time to absorb each chapter. This novel needs to be read, loved, and shared broadly." I think the very same thing. It's an outstanding work of fiction coming in January. So I'm sorry for running over. Please forgive me. Thank you, everyone, for being on this phone call and for buying books.
Thank you so much, John. We never have to get out the big hook for you. It's okay. We're always excited to hear about your books, and there's plenty of good ones there. As Rachel said in the chat, we are currently hopefully planning a launch event for Julia May Jones for Vladimir, and I'm beginning hearing a lot of buzz about that.
That sounds great. Thanks, David.
Yeah. And next up, our last presenter, and not the least, is the wonderful Emily Cervone tonight. She's presenting some books from Chronicle Books. Emily, tell us what you got.
Well, hi. I have far fewer books than the other two, and I also I'm doing this old school. I'm just gonna literally hold up the books and show you stuff because we've been very busy getting ready for our new books coming out. So I tried to pick stuff that is currently not only out, but actually in stock, so that if you wanted it and the store needed to special order it, they could get it. Because as everyone has been told about, things are supply chain issues. We're having the darndest time getting even our new books in stock. And Chronicle also does a lot of gift stuff. So I'm not talking about any gift this time, but maybe next time. However, I am going to start with a gift-like book, a book that is great for gifts. And you're going to all say, well, I've heard of this book before. I don't have an actual physical copy of this one yet. Is it backwards or does it look normal to y'all? Okay. Little Women. And you're saying, but this book has been out for hundreds of years. So this is a special version of Little Women. I think actually last time I did this, I'm pretty sure I talked about the Pride and Prejudice version of this. So these are interactive versions of the book. So this is the Pride and Prejudice one, and you can see like it's big, the great size. So this is the complete novel, only it'll be Little Women, featuring the characters' letters and manuscripts folded by hand. So throughout the book, I had this marked. There are these little vellum envelopes that are amongst the text, and in it are individually written. Ooh, it's folded all special. letters as if they came from the actual character. So this is just a really cool way to kind of like interact and make it a little, bring something new that's a little different, bring something back, and it's a great gift. Barbara Heller is the woman who curated this, and she actually hand wrote every single letter in the book. And then, I mean, they're not handwritten here, but they look handwritten. She actually did all the calligraphy herself. And she put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's super cool. It retails for $40, and you should be able to get it now, but it's really beautiful. I mean, this is a pride of purchase. It's just like, it's a super great gift, and it will come shrink wrapped, so you can be sure that there's no letters missing. Absolutely beautiful. One of my favorite things. Plus, being in New England, it's a very New Englandy title, with Alcott being right from here. So then I'm going to talk to you guys about this amazing cookbook. It's very heavy. It's super heavy. So this is Flavors of the Sun, Sahadi's Guide to Understanding, Buying, and Using Middle Eastern Ingredients. And at first, when I heard about this, I was like, yeah, this will be good. And then Sahadi's, which is a restaurant in Brooklyn, sent all of us reps shawarma seasoning and almonds. And the shawarma seasoning I seriously use like once a week. It is unbelievably good. So what's nice about this beautiful, beautiful cookbook is it doesn't just have recipes. It literally tells you where to find certain ingredients that you wouldn't normally find in your regular grocery store, or it gives you substitutions for stuff that you can't find the ingredients. And it's also really beautiful. Some of these spreads are just out of this world. Like, I'm like, which way am I going? And I just lost one of my pages. I'm like obsessed with this entire cookbook. Every recipe I've made from it is absolutely fantastic. There's 120 recipes total. This one I actually get to make. Hopefully you are a meat eater. Just look at that. That's delicious. So it has 5 different categories: bright, spiced, sweet, savory, and nutty. And it's cool because there's like desserts that are in the non-sweet section, and then there's meals that are in the sweet section. So it's very different and unique. And I like that it's expanding people's palates, but also doing it in a way that's still relatable, still accessible, and easy to follow. And the recipes are very easy to do. And if you've never made shawarma at home, it is unbelievably good. And I highly, highly recommend trying such a thing. Okay. So then we're going to go to, this is my personal favorite adult book of the fall. It came out today. And I think some people will like it, some people don't. It is a complete musical legacy compilation book on the Carpenters, aka one of my favorite bands of all time. Their Christmas portrait album is quite possibly the most perfect Christmas record of all time. It is a work of art, and hopefully you all like the Carpenters and can feel the same way that I do. So this just came out literally today, and it is written by these guys, Mike and Chris, but Richard Carpenter actually, well, initially he was just going to write it forward. He actually got really excited about the book and got really involved. So he is super involved in it. So it goes over the entire legacy of the Carpenters. It not only includes, stories, but it has like very few scene pictures. It goes into the deep diving into the different, has like posters, into talking about the writing of the songs. There's this really good bit. Oh, look at this. This is the Christmas portrait, but it like shows you, like, has like pictures of the music. It talks really, it dives into, it focuses mostly on the band. It does dive a little into Karen's issues and having to overcome that in her death, but it's just like the most perfect book. And I just love it so much. Like I actually had to go dig it off my personal shelf because it's been downstairs for a while because I just think they're great, but it's so beautiful. And it's so inexpensive. It is only $35 for this like monster of a book. And I feel like there's more Carpenters fans out there than people realize. When they announced this, I like flipped out, and people were like, Emily, you're what, 30 years old? I'm like, no, I'm older than that. But there are people that really, really love the Carpenters, and I just love this book. And we, it's from Princeton Architectural Press, which is actually kind of surprising. They used to do architecture, but they've really been expanding. So they do, it's like, it's got that quality of like a really high-end art book, but like a really good low price. So it's beautiful, wonderful, an excellent gift book. I feel like I'm speeding through everything. Okay, so I'm gonna do 3 more, switching to kids. So this book I'm a super huge fan of. This is called Circle Under Barry, and it is by Carter Higgins, who is just an amazing writer. And she did the artwork for this too, and it's really big and colorful. But what I love about this book, as the format's great, unjacketed. It's like a giant board book, but like better than a board book. Is the writing is so like, it's such a fun read. All right, I'm gonna try to hold it and read it. You don't want to look at me, you want to look at the book. Okay. Circle under berry, berry over square. Circle under berry, under orange over square. Yellow under diamond, diamond over green. Yellow over diamond, under guppy over green. Lion under scarlet, scarlet over frog. Lion over scarlet, under oval over frog. Is this orange? Is it oval? Is this frog or square or green? And is berry over circle or a circle under berry? And it just goes on, and it's amazing because it introduces kids and, well, adults too, technically, it to shapes, to animals, to colors. It has this really great rhythm, and like you can just like, and patterns, and you figure it out, and it makes people look at simple things from different perspectives. And I think it's such a great book for young kids who are, you know, beyond like a regular board book, but they want a little something more with these conceptual books where it's one step above, like, this is a circle, this is a square, whatever. So it's a little bit, it's just so great. And it's only like $16. I love it. I love it so much. And it's just a really fun read. And it's gotten some really great critical reviews too. Okay, so I feel like it's fun. So then this is not a finished copy, but this is a YA book. Love this book. The last 2 I'm doing are from a newer publisher called Levine Querido. And everything Levine Querido does is YA. They do have some new adult books coming out. But the Levine Querido was started by Arthur Levine, who is the guy that brought Harry Potter to America. And he left Scholastic, and he is doing this smaller company, and all of his books on his Levine side are all representing underrepresented people, like Jewish people. He himself is a gay Jewish man with diabetes, so he's like, he loves these books that are gay and Jewish. It's amazing. So there's LGBTQIA, there's trans, there's ACE, there's books about Black people, there's books about Jewish people, there's books about, I'm trying to remember, there's just so many, like, and then the other side is works in translation. So it's all of these amazing European, mostly European at this point. I think there's one from Colombia that came out that just got a great award. And it's just taking these books that you wouldn't normally see in America, especially, and bringing them to the masses. And this book is by Donna Barba Higuera. And it's wonderful. She's a Pura Belprix honor winning author, which is a Spanish literature award. This is called the Las Quintista. And this book, it's actually middle grade, but it can read up to YA, but it's about a future world in which there's like the world, Halley's Comet, that's what it is. Halley's Comet's been knocked off course, going to hit the Earth. The Earth is going to die. So every country is taking these ships to another planet where they're going to start over. And it's going to be about 80 years. No, even more. It's going to be like 40, 100, I don't remember how many years. It's going to be several years. Okay, hundreds of years, 400 years. They're going to all be in stasis while they get transported to this planet to start a new Earth. Our main character, Petra, wants to be a Quintista, a storyteller like her grandmother, who is not coming with them. And she is supposed to, while she's in stasis, they're getting fed information so that they can be educated when they get there, so everyone can help out, including kids. They will have this intelligence added, but she wants a story aspect, and they kind of sneak it in that she's going to be able to get a story, to be able to have stories told, so she can be a storyteller. But something goes wrong, during this flight, this 400-year flight, and the people that are assigned to take care of the people evolve and start kind of a cabal. And when she wakes up 400 years later, it's supposed to be thousands of people are alive, and there's only her and 2 other kids, and everyone else is gone and has been killed, basically. Well, she doesn't know where they are. And she's the only one that remembers where they are from and what they're supposed to know. So it's her adventure of trying to survive in this hostile environment on this new world where she knows there's another ship. She needs to find it, and she needs to figure out what happened to her family, her brother and her parents. And she's also trying to remind these 2 other kids that, because they're like all 12, these 2 other kids that woke up, like trying to tell them stories and get them to trust her and get them to remember. And then also pretend that she doesn't remember so she doesn't get caught. And there's just so much that's going on in it. It is like, it's sci-fi, but it's also folklore, and it just kind of, it hits every single button you could ever want in a book. And even though it's technically aimed at middle grade, so it's, like these 12 to 14, I mean, I'm 37 years old, and I read it, and I've like read it 3 times already, because it's just so amazing and moving. She creates such a like visual and this like future planet and these people. It's amazing. And it is out now, and it has gotten a ton of press, and it is one of the most beautiful covers. You can't really see it too well. There we go. But it's like absolutely just so wonderful. So I love that one. And then last but not least, this is actually a bound manuscript because I begged and begged. So this is A Snake Falls to Earth, which technically doesn't come out till next week, but you guys might even have it on hand already because they shipped them out early and they're all signed, because Darcy Little Badger is amazing, but she won God, it was like National Book Award, I think, for her last book. And then her debut novel, this is her second book, but her debut novel was voted as one of the best sci-fi novels of all time last year, which is just mind-blowing. So in A Snake Falls to Earth, which I just think is one of the greatest books ever written. So there's 2 worlds, because our world used to have a mirror world, and that's where like all these like animal people live, and they're literally animals that can turn into people and vice versa, and they kind of have these human conscience. And so that's my favorite part of the world. So there's 2 different worlds, and on one world we're following this young I was like, I don't remember, he's like a lizard, I'm not exactly sure, but he's pretty great. But we're following his story, and he has a little friend who gets sick, and he has to like he's like, I gotta get to the human world. And in the human world, Darcy is dealing with her grandmother is sick, there's something going on, there's a tornado, but it creates this entire story where the human world doesn't think that the animal world exists anymore, in the mirror world, and they come together, and they show that it's always been there, it's just you have to know how to access it. And they have to save basically this little mouse, he's a little frog, that's what he is, a little frog guy. They have to save him from extinction, because when they become extinct in the human world, they die off in the animal world. And it's just a great adventure with this, and it's with a 17-year-old girl, and she is so strong, and the characters in the animal world are so strong, and it takes these indigenous tales and it brings them again to like these masses and makes them more of a mainstream kind of story. And then she also manages to weave that the main character is ace, which is asexual, which it's not a big deal, but I like that she has that representation in her books. I don't recall if she is herself. I know she is married, but I don't remember, not that it matters, but I love that representation because it's another underrepresented people like being shown. So it's just a really great story. And Alatsoa, which was her first one, was so amazing. She was just featured in Time magazine for this book. She's been everywhere. So this is like, it's going to be a big one. And she signed thousands and thousands of copies. So every bookstore every indie bookstore is getting signed copies of this when they do arrive. And that is all I got for you. I hope I can come back again next spring because I have some really amazing books that I'm like so excited about in the spring. I just learned about them last week, so I just have even more. That's always excited.
Thank you so much, Emily. That was really fantastic. And likewise, I've got this one nephew and this one niece. I think I'm going to have them all taken care of after tonight. We've got a little bit of time left. So if there's any questions, I know John said he's happy to answer any questions if anyone has questions. And Emily, I believe, is too. She's nodding away. So please feel free to shoot a message into the chat or to DM Rachel or me. Otherwise, if we're not hearing anything, thank you both so much. And thank you all for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Again, you can find a list of all of the books that were presented tonight on the Northshire blog. We've put the link a couple of times into the chat. I'll get it in there one more. Maybe Rachel, maybe you can put it in there one more time. You can likewise, if you don't save that, that's fine. You can go to northshire.com, and then in the menu, you can go to Notes from the Shire, and that will lead you to this. It'll be up there at least for a week or so. At least it's the common one up there for a week or so until our next bookseller book chat, where we've got a similar format and booksellers recommending books, and that is next Monday. All right, well, John, Emily, thank you both so much. And y'all have a great evening, everybody.
You're welcome. Take care, folks.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye. Take care, guys.